All right, welcome. I'm actually not sure I have the maps all set up, unfortunately. One second. So yesterday we we left off at the east portal of the Hoosac Tunnel. This is part 2 of the 2007 Albany road trip set of photos. The road trip specifically was driving out to CP 187 yesterday, where the Boston line meets the Post Road branch. Today, the second part of that weekend involved going out to the Hoosac Tunnel, which is just east of North Adams, Massachusetts, right down here. There's a bunch of other stuff going on in Vermont there. There it is, right there. Longest railroad tunnel east of the Rockies, somewhere around between 4.5 and 5 miles. Built by the Boston and Maine, or by the predecessors to the Boston and Maine, to take advantage, to get across Massachusetts and the Berkshires and take advantage of two opposing river valleys that were separated by a bit of a mountainous terrain there. We are located right here at the east, where the railroad leaves the Deerfield River and heads into underneath the mountain. CP 450. Oh, it says CP 421. I have to check this out. Oh, I might have mixed that up. CP 421 is actually the one on the other side. All right, I got to relabel that. Who put that? Is that me? Did I put that down there? Probably. Yeah. The old Wikimapia is kind of broken, so that's what. Anyway, okay. So yeah, CPF 415 is simply the interlocking at the siding, the CT. It's the west end of the East CTC siding, near the Hoosac Tunnel. It used to have different names. I pulled up this old picture of where the point was. Back in the day, when it was electrified for helper service, the tunnel had electric steam tow, an electrified steam tow system to assist steam locomotives through the mountain, which was the style at the time for those long tunnels. Great. Northern had a similar setup. Baltimore and Ohio. Quite a variety to deal with the exhaust issues. But anyway, yesterday we looked at the actual tunnel portal there, and this week we will be. I don't know why. Yeah, see, I guess someone gave me the wrong information, because CPF 421 is the one on the western side. In fact, it's within the milepost is sitting right there in the interlocking. Okay. Anyway, let's get this going here. As I described yesterday, the Boston and Maine used a very, despite being it's again, I will call it Boston and Maine. Sometimes I'll refer to it as Guilford. I'm not going to refer to it I'm going to avoid calling it by Pan Am. That's just, this is a railroad, not an airline. Sort of the largest privately owned railroad in the country. I mean, if you don't count BNSF as being privately held, Guilford rail system was pretty much owned by one crazy old guy, known for his disdain for organized labor and eccentricities. Before he really got involved, the Boston and Maine used a Canadian three-head style. Same with D&H. Today I don't know what. I have no idea what's going to be going in now. But where are we going on here? I'm going to give this a second. The Guilford was the last big non-passenger user of adopter of NORAC. After Conrail got split up by NS and CSX, and they went with their own timetable systems. The Guilford was really the last one to use the NORAC rulebook. I mean, besides, Amtrak's no slouch, and neither is NJT or SEPTA. But Guilford, and a whole host of smaller railroads that, sort of, it's almost like the open source rule book. It lets a lot of smaller railroads be able to adopt something pretty easy. And of course, CSX did adopt the whole Form D, despite not having any other letter forms for it to go with. But the loss of Guilford, at least in its territory, is going to be a big blow. It's going to be somewhat of a blow to the NORAC Rules Committee. It was nice having a dedicated freight hauler in there. The signals from my visit last time, I don't think they've been repainted in the last 15 years. Although whatever paint these things get applied is pretty sturdy. I didn't make sure I indicate that all these photos are with snow, because I just took a whole set of new ones, and I'm going to have conflicts if I don't specify these old photos. Make sure that the file names are different. You can definitely tell that some of these were the Guilford was which one? Despite its recent what is it? Like the Canadian Pacific, which had a long-running love of semaphores, Guilford was the same way. So you will see more modern searchlight installations. Not quite as new as CP, but like this is a more modern post with a non-finial top. Might be aluminum, might have some modern cabling on it. Still there today. I don't know when this was last resignaled. Could be the 1960s, could be the 1980s. But it's still using USNS, although it is a GRS signal hardware thing. It is using a code, a utility hertz code, pulse code system to send. What do you call that? Block state. Interesting here with the points. This is just, there is indication that point heating exists, but it hasn't been on. Again, just probably another indication that, the Guilford was not known for its, it's owned by one guy, so every minute you run the point heaters, that's money out of his pockets. That's a really, really paltry amount of point heating right there. This is probably one that got cut from the original cast. Then again, it just shows that it's cool, how just cold and dry the air is in this time period. When I was out there before, there was snow, but it was a very wet day. Temperatures well over into the 40s. Here you can see just how with because it's well below freezing, you can get the snow will powder and blow around, cover over the tracks a bit. If there's so much snow that you're going to leave tracks, I'll probably take photos on the outbound. But when I was there the last time, it was there was snow, but it was light. Looks like there's stuff blowing around. You can see it right over there. The snow is actively being blown by wind. So here we have the frog. Again, everything's covered over by the wind-blown snow. And then here we have our westbound searchlight masts. The tops aren't the super modern like flat ones, but they're not finials either. Sort of probably a 1960s vintage. They are indicating the all right placement to which was something you would see before 1984. Fun fact: the speed limits through here, at least through the tunnel, and I think up to it, is 25 miles an hour. The siding is a blistering 10 miles an hour. And that is according to the 2024 rule book. The track is pretty wide at this point. It looks like the right-of-way could hold an additional one. There is a center dump track type thing too, possibly a leftover from the need to have helper pockets in the area when the electrification was on. So you'd have the electrified locomotives would sit out at various points, so when trains could come in, they could cut off. If you saw that photo here, oops, wrong one. It's hard to see what's really going down there, but there was definitely, quite a bit of activity in the, quite a bit of stuff going on to efficiently attach and detach helpers, tow locomotives, whatever you want to call it. And here we have our main mast. And like I said, as of a week ago, these were still in place. There we go. It looks like these were pretty. These seem to be coming off a fresh paint job. Now, these aren't. I wouldn't call this paint super fresh, but it looks fresh. Yeah, it looks like it was done within the last. I would guess these would have been painted since the year 2000. Seeing a freshly painted iron signal installation is really nice. Especially with black and silver. Definitely one of the things that we're losing with this rush to anodized aluminum, not anodized and non-anodized aluminum. There's something about the silver paint versus the silver aluminum that makes that paint look better. So again, I'm still not, 2007 me is still not coming out here and taking 150 photos at this one interlocking alone, like I did last week. And then we just have the westward view from CPF 415. I would say westward, so eastward view. The eastward view from in front of the westbound signals. It's always one of those reasons I mix that up. Let's see what's got going on. Yeah, listen. I won't lie. I did like the Pan Am livery applied to the box cars. But when it came for the guy having to like repaint the locomotives, it's just like he phoned it in. So, okay, fine, I guess. So this is an interesting bit. When I bought this camera, it was labeled as a 10x optical zoom. I know. It's again, this is a mid-range. It's going to denote its zoom in X's. It's not a replaceable lens type of thing. What's fascinating was when I got newer versions. I got this camera, around winter, Christmas of 2006, so effectively the start of 2007. When I got a new camera in 2012 that was labeled like a 30, like some crazy amount of X, it didn't seem to have as much. It seemed the zoom didn't seem that much different. Well, that one they expanded it on the wide end, so it had a wider angle as opposed to just more zoom in. So this old 10x Olympus really had reasonable zoom for what it was. By the way, so in this wide right-of-way, there's a center track dump siding. I'm not sure if it connects to the other track or comes back over or just sits in the middle there. The question is sorry. The other interesting thing I loved about my first two cameras, the Olympuses, is that they had really good color rendering or color balance. My subsequent Canons have just been always blue. I always have to do color correction on them. And for these Olympi, you never have to see me come in and do color correction on these. This is just so beautiful. I definitely came down the tracks to avoid making footprints, but just the day, the clouds, little light could be a little, it's a little oddball on these black targets. But a really nice day. You definitely can also see how windswept everything is. There's very little very little disturbances in the snow from whenever it fell, because anything that would have disturbed it would have been blown off. So all of these GRS SA searchlight masts have full GRS SA searchlights. Each lamp is composed of a full searchlight. By full searchlight, I mean a searchlight housing that is capable of holding the movable lens assembly that makes a searchlight a searchlight. If you go across the way to CPF 421, that one uses GRS would sell a cheaper one for fixed marker lights, red lights, and it's a smaller housing in the back. You can tell, and that one has of the 6 searchlights for westbound moves. 4 of them are these solid reds, and only 2 of them actually would have an ability to change the lamp, and that's just because they don't show restricting. I think that you need some extra logic to do restricting, and that's why a lot of railroads, even to this day, will skimp out and on single track and passing siding type lines. We will not have the option to do a following movement into an occupied block. Now this is weird. My friend did not have an iPhone. What is he doing? Not sure. Because normally I would say he's on his phone, but this is 2007. Early 2000, the iPhone hadn't come out yet. Despite the 10-mile-an-hour siding speed, it looks like something has been using it. This is whatever you see here. There is no pole line, or at least today the pole line is clearly inactive. At this time, I assume the pole line was also inactive. I don't know what they would use for telecom or to do it. I'll have to go back and check, but I'm pretty sure that that they are using some sort of POTS, plain old telephone system type thing. So this was interesting. If it wasn't for the snow, although I wouldn't have known what this was at the time, it was only when I came back this last year is that I realized that this is a General Railroad Signal Model 5C point machine. Most of the ones you see today are going to be 5Hs. 5H is their quote unquote newest, although it's still from like the 1960s. And that's their basic dual control, has a built-in motor controller to some degree, and does all the other stuff. A 5G isn't dual control. A 5E and an F are the ones that don't have the inbuilt motor controller logic. So that has to be external. They're shorter. They're still around. They're still sold. This would be part of the 5C 5D pairing. It's not a 5C, it's a 5D. I need to make sure that I don't screw that up. Yeah, this would be a 5D, and you can't see it here, but on the motor there's an extra sort of clutch or brake assembly. It's this box at the end of the motor. It's fairly distinctive if you know what to look for. Check my blog. I do a whole thing of the A through G's of or A through H's of GRS point machines. The A's and B's were designed to work directly from a tower, from a Model 5 pistol grip machine. They have different motors too, with like a slope on them. But I bet if I go to my original photos, which I'm not even referring to because I know the names are complete garbage, I would have called it a 5 something. No, I just said switch machine. I didn't even know where to begin. Just disgraceful. That's why I set this up as a high priority for redo. They do have the machines did have beautiful GRS script GRS logos on them. Now you can see it right there. And there was this old school mechanical rail greaser, flange greaser, whatever you want to call it. This is the one that doesn't use solar power. I don't know how it powers them or doesn't power them. It looks like, I think this is purely mechanical. I'm sure that that's been replaced by one of those solar-powered jobbers. Again, I don't know what they need the power for, or if it's pressurized, or it's a pump, or what. But the current thing is, what the heck? Oh, here we go. I can go down and see if it's a solar panel variety. Hard to tell. It might not even be there. I thought I saw one, but maybe I didn't. Maybe they just removed it. Or they moved it down that way or something. And heading back, this is the other end of the bridge, looking toward the tunnel itself. So now we're jumping to the central shaft vent plant, something I was not able to visit this year. Unfortunately, the vent plant has undergone some recent quote-unquote upgrades from its original configuration. I definitely should go out there again. In this case, even though winter would give you less foliage around it, it makes it very hard to walk around it. It's rocky, and in snow, it's just a shit show. So I'm going to see if I can come back there at some point in the summer. If I'm ever up there again in the summer. This area has usually been a winter-only type of trip for me. So the question is I guess it would be milepost 18. 418 is where the central shaft probably is. But I'm going to... Yeah, I should call it the central shaft. That's what everybody else does. And like I mentioned, this was used both for steam, fume extraction, and it was a way to commence tunnel construction to open up 2 additional work faces to build the tunnel. One second. You can get YouTube videos of people walking around it when the fans are active, both in the current configuration and the older configuration. Just search for Hoosac Tunnel Central Shaft. You'll find them. Yeah, he could have been on a pre-iPhone smartphone, or a phone. I don't think he was big into internet browsing. He just used a phone for texting and phones like most other people. But I think he was doing something else. So we're going to be going into a brief interlude of some non-rail rail photos coming up after we get done these central shaft ones. So, like it says it is a vent plant, and running fans, isn't cheap power-wise. So here's their 3-phase transformer power supply. The Moffat tunnel in wherever. If you read about what the power ratings are, it's several. It's on the order of hundreds or thousands of horsepower to run these things. And you can see the old, very 1950s building and the 2 horns, the cast iron vent horns there. And here we have this is the view from the road that you would see driving by. The gate is at that far corner where I first got some photos. The first photos were taken from the gate. If you try to walk around where the outlet of the fans are, there's a sort of a steep rocky hill. There's sort of it's interesting of like where those come out. Like you can see, it's changed the little microclimate there. And here we have one of the old fan horns. I don't think the fan was located inside the horn. And you would think that looks there. It looks like there's some sort of grate or bulbous fan. I think there's like an iron door. It's really weird. I don't think that again, I do not think that there was... I think these were designed to muffle the noise. Sometimes people would complain about them howling. So yeah, I wasn't able to go out there this year. But because they've just recently redone them, there's not much that I'm risking it missing. Okay, so coming down from the Hoosac Tunnel, so there's actually the central shaft fan plant is on Central Shaft Road, which is off of Massachusetts Route 2. Here at this corner here, there's a scenic overlook. So that's where I'm going to be moving to right now. There's some trail access and other stuff there too. So this is looking down, I believe, into the valley where North Adams is. Yeah, North Adams is an old mill town. That is now generally sort of arts. It's got a couple of art schools there. So it's pretty nice. This is definitely later in the day. You can see from the sun position. One second. This is the area near where Mount Greylock is. That's the highest point in Massachusetts. In fact, that might be it right there. Yeah, that's it. You can drive up to Mount Greylock. It's also there's a I think the road might be closed in the winter, but it's also got a hiking trail that's only I think it's a 3-mile round trip, maybe a little bit less, maybe a little bit more. It also has an old school style ski slope called the Thunderbolt. It's one of the before you had lifts and before you had snowmaking, people would just sort of cut these trails through the woods, and it's been in active service since like 1920 whatever. So these little things, this little thing is still there. And it's interesting because it's again 15 years old. That little porch you could stand on was there, but those binoculars are gone. I guess enough people have zoom lenses; they don't care anymore. Route 2, although it's interesting that the Route 2 route over the mountain here, it doesn't switch back a lot like a lot of these the state roads do. It just has one big old hairpin turn. With these nice, cute little hairpin turn signs. And also you can see, even in this type of part of the year, just how much water seepage is coming out of the rock. A big problem with the Hoosac Tunnel, and it's just sort of all over the place. And here we have the hairpin turn itself. Look at that beautiful blue ice. I mean, it's you kind of be dangerous to go, going on the, if you want to do some ice climbing, that's, some easy ice climbing. That's a good place to do it, but not with, you have to deal with the road traffic. That Golden Eagle restaurant is still there. So back we are into Troy. Here is the Troy Pork Store. I'm not sure if this place still exists. I've never been there. I just saw it. And it's odd because we've gone to all other sorts of weirdo meat stores in that area, but we've never been to the Troy Pork Store. Troy was really on hard times in in the early 2000s. Had the university, of course, but none of the graduates from that time would give the city much credit. But starting both Troy and Schenectady, starting at about that time, really had a renaissance. I don't know about Troy specifically, but I know that part of Schenectady was just that the state, part of it was the state resettled, had a program for refugees to buy low-cost housing there. And once they had a house in hand, they were able to go crazy with the entrepreneurialism. You could get a bank loan and all sorts of stuff then. And anyway, all I know is Schenectady has just exploded, and Troy is not far behind. It is night and day compared to what it used to be. So for all those people who bemoan the housing shortage and high property prices, I mean, it's directly it's pushed people into these second-tier, third-tier cities, and provided the capital for folks to start businesses. So let's just see if that's right. I was looking for Troy Pork Store. See if it still exists. Permanently closed. Oh man. Oh no, it's got the red X of don't enter the building, it's condemned. Shame. Oh man, that's so sad. Oh man, we never went there. Pork stores are always fun. I know one in South Jersey. Oh. Well, wait, no. So let's just go back in time. Maybe COVID zapped it. Nope, dead in 2022. Dead in 2021. Man, it's been condemned for a while. Closed but not condemned. So the X is not condemned. It means that it's a thing I saw in New Hampshire, and apparently it's spreading to upstate New York. It's a thing that that the fire department will put on a building that means that if you get in trouble inside, the fire department is under no obligation to go and help you. Nope, it was toast in 2018. toast in 2017. Less looking bad. Oh, man, we really missed out. 11? Okay. Troy Pork Store was open in 2011, although their sign wasn't looking great. And here we are in 2007. So things definitely had to hit rock bottom for this place. Real shame. Unfortunately, I can't dial it in any better than that. Maybe this other street here. Nope, just 2011 and 2016. It's so strange, like in a city where so much else is going well, that that this place just fell on hard terms. I bet this was family owned, and the old guy running it just died, and maybe they don't know what to do with it. But all right. An interesting thing about Troy as well that I was looking into, there was a lot of railroad stuff in town that's not there anymore. Typically in this area here, you can see the old Boston and Maine roundhouse is right there. There were multiple interlocking towers, and now there's just nothing. There's one line, there's an industrial tract that serves the south side. It used to have a New York Central branch that came in across this island there. Then there was a whole bunch of stuff in this area here. Rail yards, junction. Oh, you found okay, one of our people found it. He says it closed in 2008. Okay, it looked like it was still open in 2011 though. No, I kind of forgot where it was. Kind of forgot. Oh, no, it does say closed. But that's strange that if it closed in 2008, in 2011 it would still have like hours and, flowers in the place. So I don't know what's up with that. This is strange. But okay, I'll look into that a little bit later. But yeah, there used to be a lot of railroad activity in Troy, right here where the bus depot is, and that parking lot, and well, there's the thing. All of this was rail yard where they built this whole new sort of 6th Avenue complex, and the public housing towers and such. You can still see where the rail line used to be with this bridge over Interstate 787. In theory, that could probably be reactivated if they wanted to. See, there's a Y. You can still see the Y. There was a weird New York Central branch that went along the Mohawk to go to Schenectady. That's bike trail now. But there's one of the middle things for the river. Somehow it crossed this river here, and then it came up into this area. Anyway, it was open now. See what? I'm getting mixed messages. We got an open sign, but it's also closed. But of course, I can see the sausages and stuff hanging inside. So, all right, enough of pork store. We're kind of ahead of schedule, so that's why I was taking a pork store detour. You can definitely see that there was whatever that snowstorm was. It was pretty substantial. So about this time is when the what is known as the cookie factory opened. This is another place that has hung on, and it opened right next to where my friend was living. It was in an off-campus apartment complex, and they opened up the cookie factory right next to him, and that's been there for some time. Every time we go, we always go in and get some cookie factory stuff. They have all kinds of baked goods. It's good stuff. It's not necessarily the most authentic bakery I've been into, and that it's not a thing that's been making stuff since who knows when. But it's definitely become a local. It's the place to go. But anyway, they had some neat icicles on the back of the building. The icicles, when you see icicles on a building, that means the roof is not insulated well. So the heat from the house will melt the water seeps down, drips down, and then freezes in the air. It's a sign of bad insulation. I need to know how to spell icicle because it's not entirely obvious. And this is along the back of the cookie factory, just showing off the row of icicles. It's right by a gorge. You know, all these towns have a gorge because they're all built around hydropower supplies. I think it's called the Pottenskill Gorge. Pottenskill. Wait, I might be mistaking it for something else. Yeah, Poesten. Pottenskill Gorge. And it's a big water system. There's actually a hidden hydroelectric plant. It's sort of a self-contained unit, generates 1 megawatt. And here we just have the results of a water gutter making a giant ice thing. I noticed it was lit up by the it was backlit by the sun at this time, which was pretty nice. So we are down to our last thing here. It's going to be a little bit longer of a set. But this is where the stuff about the downbound trip comes in. What's at milepost 118? Wait, Albany? Wait. I mean, it's still, I think it's Amtrak Hudson line. 118 would be that's north. Oh, I know where that is. That's that park. I am actually doing photos. I'm currently processing photos from that exact location that I took in 2023. That's that park with the truss bridge and the signals. Yeah. There's one of the Troy ones are in the what is it? Nope, wrong one. Yeah, Troy has some photos of an over the track one that was active until some point. Yeah, see, they have this diagram. Sort of hard to make heads or tails of what's going on here. But the B one here, this is that Y that goes across the river. That way is going to the B&M, and there's a yard there that would eventually go and connect to the line from Albany. Well, yeah, there was an over-the-track at each end of the at whatever that was, a station or a yard or what. If you try to go and find what's that railroad does come in from the other end of town. There it is. And you just keep extending it. Yep, rail line. Come on. Yep, rail line. And the question becomes is how did it get through town? And I'm betting it came through this block. Because they wouldn't have put in a new street. But I was actually right in that area. I don't think it went through there. So maybe I'm wrong. Yeah, it's tough to sort of figure out. Maybe there was street running involved. Who knows? Because all these buildings are original. So maybe there was street running. Yeah, I need to get like a map of whatever Troy looked like with the railroads. All right, here we are in the last bit. We've got some NEC stuff. We've got some Hudson Line stuff. But first, one more picture of this ice flow. All right. First off, we have this nice view of the old Metro North dead line that used to be north of the Croton Harmon Terminal Complex. At this point, they had some Metro North RDCs in it. I think I can get a number off of that one. Number 1405. An interesting thing about RDCs have this really weird thing about them because of how new they look. Because they look so, new and modern thanks to Bud, that that you don't realize that by the 1980s, the early 80s, when they were starting to go out of service, they were 30 years old. They were. That's a You want to get 40, love to get 40 or 50, but I consider 30 years to be, for a diesel thing too. Like a diesel locomotive, you expect to get 20 years before you need some sort of massive rebuild or replacement. Electric can go 40. Electric MUs can go 40. I don't know what my expectation for a DMU is, but by the early 80s, they were 30 years old. So it's at least for me, it's hard to it's hard to see the 80s being so far removed from the 1950s. Even though it's math, it just doesn't feel that way. I gotta find Croton here. There it is. I want to see what's up. Unfortunately, they removed the old the maintenance. They demolished the old New York Central maintenance facility. That's a damn shame. I can't believe they let them do that. There's nothing wrong with the existing one. So that deadline used to be up here north of up here north where the old freight yard used to be. There's a couple of things in there, but they cleaned out most of the old passenger equipment. Again, well, I guess hopefully it found homes. But that's the out of the way place they would stick stuff. I'm gonna go over here. I gotta pull my Metro North track chart so I can properly label this stuff. Okie doke. So we have the New York Central's old North Croton station. This is another thing that's sort of in a holding pattern. Don't know what they do or do not want to plan to do with it. And it looks pretty good condition. Might be used by Metro North for something. Maybe, hold on, let me check Wikipedia real quick. Oh, it looks like, wait, hold on. Nah, nothing about North Croton. Now, I'm not sure how I got these pictures out the back of the Amtrak train. Maybe I was on, because usually they would be running the business class cars on the rear of these, but maybe they weren't as well. Maybe the policy also extended the Hudson line. Yeah, this is New York Central, North Croton. Or Croton North, I should say. CD Tower, not CD, CD, is the tower, is the counterpart to HM Harmon Tower, that's controlled the other end of the yard complex. This is still standing. I went and got some better photos from behind a few years ago. It's weird. It's like right behind a wedding venue. So it's like I was there and all these people were getting married as I skulked around taking photos. So I'm not sure how I do this. I'm going to go to my thing here. Wait, this isn't the one I want. All right, that's just Empire connector. There it is. Okay, I'm using the actual interlocking name, the tower name. So just a 4-track crossover. It's past the Croton Shop Complex, but the third rail is extended. I never know what happened to plans to extend this third rail to Peekskill. That was always a thing that the New York Central battied about. In fact, they got those battery-powered, tri-powered locomotives to take locals up to Peekskill. I'm pretty sure that usually what I hear about Hudson Line improvements is that I was like, well, why did the Harlem line get improved? The Hudson line, isn't that ritzier? Isn't that like richer, like the main line? Well, the thing is that the catchment area stinks because the Hudson blocks half the level of people. So it was the main line for like long distance, but because for a commuter point of view, it's like draw a circle and cut it in half, and that is the Hudson line because there's not. There's a river, and you can't get across the river. So they put all the upgrades into the Harlem line, including electrification up to Brewster North, because that can. Oh shoot! I overwrote a photo. I was talking. Nope. There's the one. All right. Sorry. Anyway, yeah. The issue is just that the state, rightfully so, put all of its upgrade eggs into the Harlem line, including electrification and even service. In fact, the Hudson line, one of the tracks got de-electrified. You might not know that, but there's a segment between between like the middle part of it, south of Ossining and like Tarrytown and north of some other point. One of the tracks doesn't have third rail anymore. They just ripped it out. You wonder why? Like, it's third rail. Like, how much could it possibly cost? Fuck, I'm just screwing this up all over. I gotta feel what track that is. Track 3. You can see it's red, and that one doesn't have anything. That's because it's flashing cab speed. All right, hey, we got some M1 or. So Metro North did use its M1s longer, and the M1As longer than Long Island Railroad did. They kept a few, I think, till like 2008 or so. They had like a bunch for standby for games or whatever they would use them for. Eventually, they're just like, oh, we don't need these. And they kept on the 100 or so M3 cars, and have been slowly phasing them out. This is where it's like, how do I tell what the number is? Because they don't put the number on the front. I also don't know if that's an M1 or an M3. From looking at it, it's probably an M3 by this point. Okay, this says M3. Same thing. So my friend who worked for Metro North could get the trip sheets. So if I wanted to ride an M3, he's like, well, I normally take this train to work, but like, all right, we can take this other train to work. Oops, that's not what I wanted. I wanted the color balance. This is the type of stuff I have to do all the time with the newer cameras I have. All the time. Mainly because it's correcting the blue. It just makes everything really cold. Okay, this is cool. This is called the F ladder at Croton. It's right outside the station. It allows trains to come right out of the yard and serve all three platforms. So we are on track number 1, and we are looking across track number 2, and that is the 12B24 double slip. So double slips are always controlled by two quote-unquote levers. You have to imagine them as, if you expand them, it's just 2 turnouts. So you need 2 levers. Will give you all possible combinations of movement that you get on a double slip. Metro North uses the same kind of track-based switch numbering that Amtrak uses. So in this case, it's part of the number 12. Well, there's 2 double slips. There's the 1224 and the 2131. So this is the 1224 double slip. Now it's technically 12B. Is that really necessary? No. This is HM. Let me see how I was referring to this. Yep. Oh, here's the 2131 slip. Did I mislabel this? Nope. I got it right. So HM 1224 double slip. Yeah, just another one of my photos that I'm glad I'm able to get back out into circulation with a proper. There's HM Tower. It's been completely renovated. This is definitely what they were so close to fixing up MO Tower. That's the one in Mott Haven. In fact, the plans were to turn it into a alternate control center using some anti-terrorism funds. So that it would have been it would have just been the alternate Grand. They had Metro at the time. To this day, Metro North has its dispatch center in Grand Central. So they wanted to have an alternate one that was close enough, and they were going to do that the same thing they did for MO to this guy to MO. You can see brand new windows. And they gutted the interior. What happened was it was an asbestos issue. Just oodles of asbestos, and it just wasn't good. They just didn't have the budget. And to this day, MO is there and boarded up. Maybe they'll solve it. Maybe they won't. We don't know. But we'll see. And then here we have the... So this is on track 1. This is going to be the 1N signal plus the F ladder. Oops. In case you haven't noticed, Metro North uses underrunning third rail compared to overrunning, which is, or well, it's technically overrunning side contact. It's not because the shoe. So true overrunning has the shoe drop down on top of it from the train. This is side contact overrunning and side contact. Well, this is side contact underrunning. Definitely a little bit safer. I don't know why. It's more of a New York Central thing. Possibly harder. I don't know. I don't know why it's less popular than the other stuff. The over contact. Maybe it's harder to put that increase. Maybe it's something with the spring pressure. It's harder. There's something got to be something harder with it. So it's the 1N plus the F ladder. All right, so remember I said on the way up that at this point in time, because I generally had rear access, I would just sort of go back and take the key newsworthy photos. Well, this is when they were starting to re-signal Union interlocking. We can see in this situation the mast that sat in the middle of Union has been replaced by a double circle colorized LED, whereas the gantry lever still has its original non-backed lower head amber position lights. Not the greatest photo, but I'm going to keep it. I'm not sure if I used it before, but I'm going to try to get a little bit more of a cut there. So this is where I can go in and use. So I can use the original lever numbers because the tower is still open at this point. So that's going to be the 12R, 6R, and 8R. And here we are in the middle of you can just sort of see Union's bay window right there. Union was always an electric interlocking plant. It never had pneumatic point machines. Now remember, the train is going about 125 miles an hour through here, so that's definitely one of the reasons that I have a little bit of trouble getting these. So we are now currently looking at... So this switch, let's see here. That is the number 13 switch, and then the number 19 switch. That's going to go over to allow coastline trains to go, and then over immediately is the other switch that allows coastline trains to get up in there. It's an elegantly designed interlocking plant. So we've got the 13, the 19, and then the 15. Another interesting thing of Union was this intermediate signal bridge. Part of this, and you would see this was in the re-signaled plant. This is just the physical structure is there, but the signals are just gone. This was not part of the plant. The reason was these extra signals were part of the logic simplification for the electro-pneumatic, the old electromechanical machine. Adding in some extra signals just made certain parts of the interlocking a little bit easier for them. But in modern days, relays aren't quite as expensive, or comparatively aren't as expensive. So this things like this, you'll tend to see signal simplification. Oops. There we go. Nothing's displayed, so. And you can also see the original non-backed PRR ambers. That was a cost-cutting measure because the PR said if you're approaching a signal prepared to stop for either a medium slow approach or medium approach or restricting, you were going slow enough that you didn't need a batter's eye to help you see the signal. And that's the North Jersey coastline ramp right there. Or two of them. There's one there, and there's one all the way on the other side. So there's 3 tracks down to the NJCL. So this is part of the simplification plan. There was a very, very long intro to union interlocking. There's a signal bridge. So the tracks, which tracks are those going to be? Tracks 1 and 2 had a very prolonged interlocking length. So the original NJCL eastbound signals were here. So you were going to have you basically were moving. I guess they could have been there. The question is, why isn't that a high-speed turnout? That's a high-speed turnout. Okay, they did put a high-speed turnout in at Union. Good for them. Oh, the high-speed turn onto the B track. Okay. Sorry. Anyway. So there's the ramp. There's the other ramp. And they put in 2 mast signals right around there for that new turnout. But also it allowed them to shrink the length of the interlocking by about 1,800 feet. Yeah, see, this signal bridge is here, but there's nothing on it, so they just threw up some masts. They were up for a while, those new masts. They were there for like 3 or 4 years before they finally did the cutover. The cutover was in 2009. And here's the old Union, old western limits of Union. You had this little switch here, which is for the A track. It was 6 tracks between here and Elizabeth. So this is where the old A track folds in. That's for the locals, the localist locals. And then and you can see where those masts are down the way, about 1,800 feet down. But the original signals are right there. So if I go look at the original thing here, that's the 45 switch, and then 24L, 40L, 44L. Yeah, and this allowed. Okay, here's what they did. They cut the start of the B track, so the A and B track would sort of finish here. What Amtrak did, or what happened at some point, is that the B track switch got moved all the way down into here, past that where the 28L is, and they were able to put a high-speed turnout in. So they just shrunk this down. I don't know what if these are there as automatics, or they just removed them. So it's I'm looking at the 24L. Okay, that's the 40 what switch? The 45. It's very hazy because of the gross window. And clean that up a little bit with a clarify. That looks better. And our last photo, the one other thing for Union was that it had, this is between Union and the Metro Park interlockings of Island and Menlo. There was this one intermediate, and this was also amber until the closure of, until around the closure of Union. I'm sure I have photos of it somewhere. I just don't know where. I tried looking. Somewhere I had photos up. Oh, here they are. They're not sure they're gonna. Let me just try. NEC and signal 216. The new search, yeah, I guess I don't have it. That's what that looks like. All right. We got an approach. So this is so weird. Like, this is amber. That one's amber. That one's colorized. I don't know what those two are. This is definitely a very weird sort of location. I should have just stood in the vestibule. I don't know why I didn't. Well, we're done, and we made it in about 90 minutes. All right, that's pretty good. Well, thank you guys for coming around. Let me see if we have got any questions going on here. Oh boy, people are talking about something. Oh, that's funny about those signals there. I was actually getting sound videos. I have this on video where I got surprised by the train. Now, it was far enough away, but I didn't want to be, noticeable to the guy. So I have a video of me taking a sound recording of the cabinets at the milepost 118 signals. And then I see the train, and it has me sprinting to get to an acceptable location, so I don't get called in. Yeah, the RDCs, unfortunately, while the shells and mechanics are great, the engines on them are getting really hard to maintain. I know from the RBMMs they are fully original engines, and they are just becoming bears. They smoke like you would not believe. Yeah, I mean, you can buy Amtrak. There have been things that have the dual position third rail shoes, and I'm not sure what the M8s for Penn Station access are going to have to deal with that somehow. Yep. All right. Okay. Thanks for coming out. Next time we will see. I have a fairly long set for involving Chicago, or Chicago going out to Chicago. I also have some other stuff that might pop up as well. So we're going to see what my availability is. I might not be available again until April. I would do a multi-day then, in early April. But I might be able to do one before then. I have an idea for a single night, but it's going to be like 60 photos. But I think I can get that out. So, thanks for coming out and listening. So again, if I have time to do a single night one, look for it in the next month. Otherwise, I'm planning to be doing a multi-night presentation on April 2nd to April 4th. So it's going to be the night of. I don't know if it'll be, probably it'll be 2 or 3 nights in early April. You can pencil that in. So thank you so much for coming out. Look for these to go up sometime, and I'll see if I can get all these ones up in a week or so. Sometimes a little off my radar, and I just need to get into the mood to write tidy up the descriptions a little bit. That's pretty much it. So. All right. Anyway, have a great day. Have a wonderful President's Day for all those people who are off tomorrow. And I will see you next time.